Well, hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel, and today I want to start a three-part video series on why the rich get richer and the poor stay poor, so let's dive in. All right, well, hey, welcome back as always. I'm so grateful for your time, and today I want to talk to you about something that is very near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is why those awful rich people keep getting more rich and we stay poor, right? And so we look at the Jeff Bezoses or the Elon Musks or the Warren Buffetts of the world, or your neighbor down the road that's always driving a really nice car and lives in a really nice house. And it is frustrating. Why are these guys killing the game and I am killing nothing, right? I'm just killing myself working. I want to start a three-part video series, and I want to really spend some time here to help you understand how that's possible and why the rich always are getting wealthier and then the poor are always staying poor. And so in this first video, I want to spend some time talking about just a concept that I like to call the gap. Okay, so the gap is not the gap between where your hairline used to be and where it is today. It's not the gap that I can't seem to grow on my face to grow an actual beard. It's the gap between your earned income and what you need to live on. So this is the gap. Okay, so follow me for just a moment here. I'm going to spend just a little bit of time riffing on this and helping you understand how to become wealthy, okay? And just disclaimer, the game is the way that the game is. Money is a game. You're not going to change the game because you're angry about the money, okay? You're not going to change the game because you think that it's not fair. The game is the game. So how do we play the game? Okay, here's how we play the game. We figure out how to increase the gap between our earned income and what we need to live on. Okay, so let me just give you some really clean examples here, and I'll just kind of walk you through my own story as well when it comes to the gap. When my wife and I got married, we were both working. She was a full-time nanny, and I was working at a car dealership. And our first year together married, we lived in a small townhouse. There was nothing special about the cars that we drove, and we made good money. And we had this giant discrepancy, this giant gap between what we earned and what we lived on. In our first year of marriage, we were able to save $25,000. Before you even say, oh, well, Zach, I can't do that, let me finish my story. So after that first year, we started having kids. We moved into a house. I took a pay cut to move into a job that was actually enjoyable and I didn't hate my life doing. And we had no gap. So essentially what we made for the next 3 or 4 years of my life was exactly what we lived off of. Okay, so we increased our cost of living and then we started making less money. And what happened was I found myself constantly frustrated because the first year, we were putting $2,000 or $3,000 back every month. And then after that, for the next 4 or 5 years, guys, we basically had no difference between what we needed to live on and what we were making per month, right? And that's a super frustrating place to be. And I want to just dissect this for a moment because let's say, for example, that $5,000 a month is what you earn and $5,000 a month is what you live on. How much money are you saving every month? None, right? So at the end of a year, after 12 months, you've saved goose egg dollars, no money, right? You've saved literally no money. Okay, let's talk about what it would look like if we can start putting some steps in place to widen the gap. Okay, let's say that you don't change your earned income at all. You continue to make $5,000 a month, and then you figure out a way to cut $1,000 of expenses out of your life. And I know right now you're listening to this, Zach, I can't cut $1,000 out. I get it. You listening to these sorts of things, there's 1,000 different reasons why it won't work for you, but I'm going to show you what you can do and how it can work. But let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, you figured out how to cut $1,000 out of your living expenses every month. Well, now there's a $1,000 gap every month, right? At the end of a year, how much money have you saved? You've saved $12,000, right? Which would allow you to buy almost $1 million worth of real estate. So I got a 3-part video series on this, and I'm going to spend some time on each of these and kind of why the wealthy continue to get wealthy and the poor stay poor. But imagine now for a moment that you get your woodworking side hustle, your woodworking business off the ground, and it's producing consistent revenues. Okay, so let's just say you're making an extra $1,000 a month after you have already decreased your living costs $1,000 a month. Now the gap is $2,000 a month. So you were making $5, living off of $5. Now you're making $6, living off of $4. Okay, so just a $2,000 difference allows you to save how much money per year? 24 grand, right? And what the wealthy do different, there's multiple things that they do that the poor don't do. There's multiple things that the wealthy understand that the poor don't understand. And that's really what I want to walk through in this video and then the videos to come. And so the first is widening the gap. That's the basics of this video. So how do you actually do this? How do you widen the gap? You, number one, have to learn how to maximize your time. Okay, so it's not about maximizing the amount of income that you make. It's about maximizing your time. So I don't look at how much money do I make. I look at how much do I make per hour. That's what I want to look at. I want to look at, can I get a job? I'm not paid by the hour, but I'm paid based on results. And then can I condense that time and get those results faster so that I can use that excess time to go make more money? Can I start a business to where I can eventually remove myself from the day-to-day operations of what's going on? Therefore, my time is not connected to the income anymore. And as a result of that, I'm making a lot of money per hour because I just don't have a lot of time invested. So to widen the gap, we have to figure out how to really allocate our time in a better way. And so I'm going to spend the last part of this video just kind of talking to you about my master plan. What is Zach's master plan for becoming wealthy over time? Right? So I'm 31 today, and I spent the majority of my 20s learning, reading, knowing what to do, but being frustrated because I could not seem to widen the gap in my own life. Now, what kind of changed everything for me? Let me give you a couple things that allowed me to widen the gap in my life. One of the things was to buy a house that was a fixer-upper. And so I know that this is a woodworking podcast. I know that this is specifically, that's why you're probably here, but you're also trying to start a woodworking business so that you can figure out how to widen the gap. You can make more money. You can do what you love to do. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did, okay? So I started my woodworking business back in 2017, and that replaced my job, and it allowed me to get enough money or create enough of a gap so that we could buy a house that was a fixer-upper. Okay, so I've spent from 2018 to 2022, the beginning of 2022, we spent all of our time working on renovating this house, okay, fixing this house up, doing it like 90% of the work ourselves. Was it awful? Yes. Was it terrible? Yes. But what this allowed me to do is, as you also know, the real estate market went crazy at the end of 2021 into 2022. And so we were able to sell our house that we'd been renovating for 3 years for a really handsome profit. And so that profit then got reinvested into real estate. Okay, so my wife and I, we bought some Airbnb properties. If you've listened to any of the podcast episodes, we bought some Airbnb properties that are now spitting off cash every single month. So we're making, depending upon the month, obviously, but anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 per month on those Airbnb properties. Now, we don't change the way that we live. We don't change anything else that we're doing, and that continues to accumulate so that we can do it again and do it again and do it again. So you have to create something valuable enough in your life that you can sell, that you can serve people with, whether it be a business or a service-based business, or it's a home or it's a project or something that allows you to accumulate cash and widen the gap. So this is video number 1. So after this, I want to encourage you to go check out video number 2, and I'm going to tell you the number 1 tool that the rich use in order to widen the gap in their life. And so with that being said, if this video is helpful at all, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and roll into video number 2 right now. It should be up here somewhere, and I'll see you there.